Covered thrusts, what are they and why should I do it? Okay, let's get into it. So here's the principle. If I'm in a nice mid-guard like this and I just thrust in to the center, right, why is that wrong when I get my opponent? Well, here's the deal. If I have my sword like this, and my opponent has their sword like this, I thrust in, I did not reckon with their sword. And so they could get me too at the same time. And so this is bad. In a historical fencing setting, this is bad. It's better to not get hit instead of just hitting first. Okay, so how do we reckon with this? Well, we have to understand where their sword is. Okay, so here's my hand, here's my sword, and my sword is also my protection, right? So my whole body is a target. So what I need to do is when I'm initially setting up my attack, I need to reckon with their sword. I need to know where their sword is. And so if their sword is around this area, what I need to do is cover, then initiate my thrust, and then lunge into it. Okay, so this is the sequence of events that we need to make happen before the attack, right? Before I thrust in, okay, I need to engage, cover, thrust. Okay, engage, cover, thrust. I don't always need to engage, but I definitely need to cover before I thrust. So it looks like this from the side, right? So engage, cover, thrust, right? Or cover, thrust, right? Let's say, so I'm blocking their line of attack. If I catch them unawares, right? Boom, like that. I still see my hand is still guarding me from that area. I can also do it from this side, right? So if their sword is on this side, cover, thrust. Or if it's if they're chopping down on me, boom, I do my parry and I come in on my thrust. Well, by positioning my hand, I'm still covered, and then I thrust in and I got them. So that works also on this side. If they're cutting at me, right, I can parry and then thrust in, but see, with my hand position, I'm still covered. Okay, so I'm gonna grab this Olympic fencing saber just because it's handy. So you could maybe see it a little bit better, right? So this is a nice mid-guard like this. If someone's cutting at me like this, I run my parry. Now I'm covering, I thrust, and then I step in. You always want to step in after you have pointed the point at the target, right? So they're cutting at me, boom, I run my parry. Now I'm positioning my point. I am covered, I extend my arm, then I extend my footwork, right? I'm either stepping in or I'm lunging in. I'm committing fully for that attack, right? For that thrust. Remember the sequence, right? It's about the sequence. Now, the faster you can initiate this sequence, the better swordsman you are. But you have to understand the sequence, right? So again, they're cutting at me here. Boom, run my parry. Now, if I just run down, boom, like this, right? That's good enough. I've covered, I'm thrusting, and then I step into it, right? And thrust, okay? So that, in a nutshell, is a covered thrust.